Welcome to the 11. I'm Troy Lynch. We appreciate you tuning in to our streaming app here on 12 News. And here on the 11, we not only break news, we break it down and have conversations about it. So it's easier for you to understand and also for you to stay informed. So before we start anything else, we always start off with our desk check. And for that, we bring in our Dan Siegel, who is our assignment desk manager here at 12 News. Dan, thanks again for joining me today.
You bet.
Yep. All right, so we got three things that we want to talk about. The first one being a drowning in Peoria. What was going on there?
Sure. We had Sky 12 this morning over a house near 91st Avenue in Deer Valley. Got some video right there.
Yeah.
Gentleman, 39-year-old gentleman, was pulled from the pool, unfortunately beyond resuscitative efforts. They think there was some sort of medical situation that happened to him while he was swimming in his own backyard, unfortunately. Peoria PD and fire responded, and we'll keep an eye for anything more that comes out of that, but that's your Sky 12 video from this morning.
When we first got information about that, I don't think the age was specified, and unfortunately, the first thought that came into my mind, like, oh my gosh, another
kid.
Another child or anything like that. Interesting, a 39-year-old, who knows what happened, but incredibly sad situation that we have there.
Yep.
Also, another sad situation, this one's happening down in Tucson. A University of Arizona student ended up being murdered.
Yeah, 19-year-old Jaleesa Salazar was found dead in her Tucson apartment. This happened August 5th. And the suspect was her 20-year-old boyfriend who fled the country, was captured in Germany. The info from court documents that we reported on this morning indicated that he planned to go from Germany to India, but authorities caught up with him before he got any further along the travel path. At some point, he'll be brought back to Arizona to face charges for the murder. Interesting how,
it says in my notes here that the family requested a welfare check after Salazar missed plans to visit them in Yuma. Then firefighters, they found her body, and that was on August 6th. So,
yep. And the court document said that she was afraid of the guy and was planning to break up with him. Obviously, unfortunately, went that path.
Yeah, wow. Super unfortunate situation again there. Very, very sad. But we also got to talk about weather coverage, because obviously weather, it's one of our main topics over the last few days. I mean, we got a little bit of weather overnight, but also we have weather coming in later today.
Yeah, our weather team, Ginger Jeffries, says that we'll have a weather impact alert for tonight. The indication is that we'll have some light rain after 6 or after 8 and some heavier stuff into the overnight hours, so it'll be busy for you with the traffic report tomorrow morning with wet roads. But this is Sky 12 video from earlier this morning over Lake Pleasant. So there were some little pop-up showers, some dark clouds, some rain shafts. May have had a couple of sprinkles on the drive-in this morning. Nothing heavy, but we'll see what tonight brings.
We definitely had some darker clouds over the valley a little bit this morning. I was looking at ADOT cams throughout that. But Dan, that's going to do it for our desk check. Thanks again for all of your insight. We really appreciate it. We'll let you get back to what you do best. We also, a little bit earlier today on Today in AZ, we had our very own Justin Pizzera, who interviewed Governor Katie Hobbs and her nominee for lieutenant governor, which is former Mesa Mayor John Giles. So they thankfully were able to come into our studio this morning, and our Justin Pizzera sat down with the both of them to do an interview before their upcoming election against Andy Biggs and his nominee for lieutenant governor. So let's get into our big story.
I guess, Governor, walk us through that whole process of picking Mr. Giles as your running mate.
So it has been a priority for me to have someone who shares my approach to governing, putting partisan politics aside and focusing on Arizonans. And I've worked with Mayor Giles for a very long time, and I know that's his approach as well as when he was mayor of Mesa. And for both of us, we share the belief that leadership is about delivering for the people you represent and bringing people together to do that. And so I'm really excited that he's on the ticket.
Were you guys friends? Did you talk before this? Like, what was that conversation like when she called you? Or did you meet for coffee? How did this happen?
Well, it was a very natural thing because as the governor said, we've had a relationship for years. I endorsed her 4 years ago and had the privilege of working with her as the mayor. And so this is a good working relationship. We're not, this is not a blind date. You know, we know each other well and we're very comfortable. And so I was extremely excited to accept the invitation.
Definitely not a blind date, but we bring in Justin Pizzera right now so we can talk about your interview with both Governor Katie Hobbs and also potential nominee for lieutenant governor for her former Mesa Mayor John Giles. First of all, I just kind of want to get your overall thoughts about how the interview went.
I thought it went good. I got the call last night that they were going to be coming in. So, I mean, this is something that we knew that she was going to be naming a lieutenant governor because this is the first time that Arizona has had to pick a lieutenant governor, or, somebody who's running for governor had to pick a running mate. So we knew that she had to pick somebody. Andy Biggs had already released his or announced his running mate, so we knew it was coming. We had heard that it was possible John Giles, and so when I got the call last night, I had already had questions that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So there were some obvious questions that I wanted to ask, but yeah, I spent the night just going through questions and researching stuff, and just ask away.
I mean, was this a surprise at all for this kind of pick? I mean, I think it's like a slam dunk. We know that Governor Hobbs has vetoed a lot of Republican-backed bills that have gone through the Senate, and then you take a mayor like John Giles, who seems to be the most anti-Republican Republican mayor up until he switched to being an independent. This seems like a pretty slam dunk choice for Governor Hobbs.
Well, I mean, they've got to reach those independent voters,
right?
Which is a huge part. You can't win without the independent voter, and there's well over 1 million independent voters in the state, and so they're going to have to. Each of them, even Andy Biggs, are going to have to reach out to that other side or to those independents and try to get them to come over. So, there's a lot of people believe that this is going to help her reach those Republicans who do feel disenfranchised. They don't feel like they have a home anymore in the Republican Party, and that's what John Giles represents. Because, I mean, he was the mayor for like a decade in Mesa. Mesa was considered one of the most conservative cities in the country at one point, and he was the mayor. So, I mean, he spoke at the Democratic National Convention when Kamala Harris was running for president, and he talked to just about how he didn't feel at home and he felt more comfortable in the Democratic Party, and then he ended up endorsing Katie Hobbs when she was running for governor. So, I mean, this has been a long time coming with him, that he was not feeling the Republican Party, and so for him to finally come out and be on the ticket, here we are.
What do you think about his move of going to be an independent? You think that was a strategic move, or his beliefs have shifted?
Well, when you listen to the interview, I mean, he talked about how he felt like he was basically trying to save the soul of the Republican Party. And years ago when he was mayor, I actually had to cover this, he was caught on an open mic, a hot mic, criticizing the president. And he never really backed down from that. And, that made news when he was, caught on the open mic. He was talking to then Senator Jeff Flake about President Trump and just really how disappointed he was in President Trump. And so he really it's been this just big evolvement, I think, for him. Like he said, he was trying to save the soul of the Republican Party. And so you just saw it over years. He wasn't shy about it, about his, just, I guess, disappointment with the party. So he was a lifelong Republican. So it seems like he gave it the good try.
Right.
Yeah, he gave it the good try. And it just, he didn't say the one thing that made him change the party, but, a lot of it, he said at the Democratic National Convention that, it's basically he felt the Republican Party had become a cult.
Yeah.
And it was led by President Trump.
So this is interesting, too, because during your interview, I remember hearing Governor Hobbs talking about how she wants to take the parties out of this upcoming election and talk about Arizona-specific issues. What did you kind of think of when she answered like that?
Well, I mean, again, I think they're trying to get that independent voter, but she said the issues that they want to tackle, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, it's going to affect you. Water is one of the issues that they were talking about. She's talking about border security. Those are just two of the things. Education, that's a really big one.
Yep.
That doesn't affect just a Republican or a Democrat. That affects everybody. And she even talked about how she has worked with extreme Republicans and extreme Democrats. She was a lawmaker before this. I mean, she was a lawmaker, she was Secretary of State, she's been the governor now for about 4 years. So, I mean, she's no stranger to politics at all and trying to work with both sides of the aisle to get something done.
I mean, we can't talk about one side without talking about the other, obviously. I mean, Andy Biggs being the Republican nominee for governor, and he's chosen his Lieutenant Governor as well. I mean, we heard over and over again about how Governor Hobbs thinks Andy Biggs is too extreme.
Yeah.
What did you gather from her when you were questioning her about that, and just how she views her opponent going into this upcoming election?
Well, I think that right after Biggs won the nomination, her campaign came out immediately with this whole slogan of "We've got a big problem."
Right.
And so that was pretty immediate, and it seems like they are going to really try to, peg Andy Biggs with being that extreme, aligned with President Trump. And in some cases, it's probably going to be a little hard for him to distance himself. I'm sure he's going to. I know that his running mate, was appointed, to a leadership role within the Trump administration. I forget what role that was. But they both have ties, to President Trump, and it seems a pretty strong alliance with him. So it looks like that is what the Hobbs campaign is going to be doing, is really trying to peg him as an extreme.
The Mormon vote. I want to talk about that real quick. We have over 400,000 LDS members here in the state of Arizona, both Andy Biggs and John Giles, members of the church. How strategic was this of Governor Hobbs, you think, to bring in a fellow Mormon? Because obviously that's a really big part of the vote.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Right.
hurt. So I remember when President Trump was here and he was campaigning, that was, even in 2024, that was a vote that he needed to get, that he wanted to get. And then in 2020, his son came out and was campaigning in Mesa, again, and strategically going after that LDS vote. That was something that they wanted to get. Statistically, I looked before we went into this interview, there was a Pew Research survey that was done just in 2024, and the majority of the LDS vote does lean Republican. Right. It does lean GOP. That hasn't always been the case. You have to go really far back, but for like the current time right now, they have led, or leaned, I should say, to the right. So, but there's a lot of them that, they don't. And so what is that other option for them? And so you insert, John Giles, there is 400,000, over 400,000. It's like 5 to 6% of the population in Arizona is an LDS member. It's an important vote. And I think that it goes to show that when you have President Trump here coming to campaign specifically for their vote, it goes to show how important it is.
Yeah, a bigger deal than a lot of people think. So.
Yeah, I don't think that people realize that it is a popular, that's a big group of our population that, is going to vote.
Absolutely. The last thing I really want to kind of emphasize, or at least get your perspective on, is the fact that Governor Katie Hobbs and John Giles refused to debate Andy Biggs and his nominee for lieutenant governor. I remember Hobbs was talking about that she believes it's political theater, and people just clip the sound bites, which I agree with for the most part. However, what do you gather with Hobbs just flat out refusing to even debate?
Well, it's the second time she's refused.
Right.
When she was running against Carrie Lake, she refused to debate then. And there was, she was really criticized for that she did not debate. But then there were other people that at the time they viewed that as, Carrie Lake was very polarizing, whatever you want to call it, how her approach was, it could be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And so, there was just like obviously that was going to be a lot. And so, I think the governor at the time, people viewed that as criticized her weak, that she wasn't going to debate. I don't know if this time really, because John Giles is saying, no, we're not going to debate.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to stick this time, that she's not debating. She didn't last time. She won. She doesn't want to do it this time. And I don't know. Maybe that is going to be a good play, because people are really tired of that really horrible, just in-your-face politics, just the mudslinging, the back and forth, just that divisiveness. There are people they don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
And so maybe it is a good play that they don't debate, because there's not going to be Because that's really, I mean, in a way, she is right. That's what the debate is going to be. It's going to be a whole lot of mudslinging in your face and clip the sound bites, and it makes national news, especially her campaign.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
going to make national news.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to be looking at this race.
I mean, you take a look at a lot of people's campaigns or a lot of different races for political seats around the country, and you get extremes on one side or the other, and they're eventually just made into these sound bites. But you've been covering Arizona politics for, what, 15 years now?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we have lieutenant governors entering the conversation, how do you view that? I mean, is it kind of cool? Does it enhance Arizona politics at all?
Well, that's what the voters wanted. They voted for it. It was, it was on the ballot, and they said that they did want a lieutenant governor. Since Arizona became a state, it went from governor to secretary of state.
Right.
And, we elect a secretary of state. So they could be, and it has been it before, you could have, say a Democratic governor and a Republican secretary of state. So if, the governor for some reason couldn't finish their term, it would go to the Secretary of State. So this is going to change that. It would stay within the party. It's not going to be a party switch. And, we'll see. But that's what the voters wanted. They approved it.
Justin Pizzera, one of our morning anchors on Today in AZ. Justin, thanks so much for your time and your expertise.
Yes, a pleasure.
Great interview with the governor.
Thank you. I'm sure we're going to be hearing much more from the governor, from Andy Biggs,
and also you.
And me too. Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad that we're able to have the conversations and bring it to the people, and I hope that they got something out of it. That's always my goal, is to get a different perspective.
Right.
Ask questions.
I guess last question, officially, how do you feel about Hobbs' chances? Because last time she was running, it was against Carrie Lake, another polarizing Republican figure, and it seems like it's kind of the same storyline this time around.
Well, I would say Biggs is. He seems to be less polarizing. I mean,
sure.
Because Carrie Lake came out. She said some things that really offended. Wasn't even related to. Her opponent wasn't even related to Katie Hobbs. She came out with some comments, about John McCain and, the John McCain Republicans, and they say that really, really hurt her. Mm-hmm. And so she was just a different kind of candidate, and Andy Biggs he's been doing this a long time.
Very long time.
A very long time, and he's a polished politician.
Politician indeed.
So it will be interesting to see how this shakes out.
We'll obviously catch all of our coverage here on 12 News. We're going to be covering the election extensively. But Justin, officially, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll let
sure.
you go. And we got some other stories that we need to follow up on now. All right, what we're following up on today is our 3-part series on Havasupai Falls. So these are 3 different Rediscover Arizona episodes, because we had to make them 3 because there was just so much to talk about and to explore, especially when it comes to the Grand Canyon. So last week, we got a glimpse into how to get to Havasupai Falls, and also the first spectacle that you see there, Havasu Falls. It was this 100-foot waterfall. It's a postcard. It's so picturesque. It is absolutely beautiful. However, today, on part 2, this is probably my favorite part, because we get to explore Mooney Falls and everybody's favorite, Beaver Falls. So enjoy part 2 of Havasupai Falls of this episode of Rediscover Arizona. Now at the other end of the campground is Mooney Falls, a breathtaking waterfall that's nearly twice the size of Havasu Falls. But there's one caveat to get down. In order to do that, we have to go down caves, yes, caves, and also a huge ladder.
So be sure to bring your hiking gloves with some grip.
Getting down and getting back up will always be slippery, so yes, it can be a little intimidating, so be careful. Oh, good job, babe. Glove 5. adventure doesn't stop there. We want to make it to Beaver Falls, which is 3 miles after Mooney Falls. Just know in order to get there, you'll have to cross multiple rivers. Some even get up to your belly button. A little deep over here, babe. We're down in the Grand Canyon, but it feels like we've gone through a jungle. Just know that you might have to climb some ladders and even do a little bit of bouldering. I recommend bringing hiking shoes that you are okay to get wet and swim with. If you bring water shoes, it's just gonna take a lot of time to switch back and forth. Then after 3 miles, we made it to one of the most picturesque places I've ever been to. Beaver Falls. You can swim in any of the swimming holes that you see, and if you go early enough, you might just get it all to yourself. I think I could literally be at Beaver Falls forever, for the rest of my life. I remember just my jaw dropping the first time I saw it, and just getting to, if you go early enough, then you can just spend the whole day there and also be alone too. It was one of the most incredible outdoor adventures I've ever been a part of. So that was probably my favorite. However, that was just part 2. Part 3 is coming up next Wednesday, so you're definitely going to want to tune in to Today in AZ. That starts at 4:26 a.m. because we will be airing the finale, Part 3, which we are going to be experiencing the confluence. And if you've never heard of that before, it's where Havasu Creek, all of that water that we were seeing at Mooney Falls, Beaver Falls, and Havasu Falls goes all the way until it merges with the Colorado River. And you see this beautiful turquoise blue merging in with the deeper green of the Colorado River. It was really cool, a 16-mile hike. And yes, my wife did it while she was pregnant, so she is an absolute stud. However, I also want to say that if you don't want to wait a full week to see the finale, you can just go to our website right now, 12news.com, because we have the full 12-minute episode there for you. And we go into depth on how you can get down there, what you can do, and also what to pack. So we got that all covered for you, so make sure you go to 12news.com if you want to see the full thing. But now we got to move on to one good thing. All right, so our one good thing comes from a 14-year-old Gilbert. I'm not even going to call him a boy. He's a man after what he did. So let me introduce you to him. His name is Royal Cawthron. He is from Gilbert, and the reason why he is a hero is because he accompanied Teresa Morgan. She was this elderly woman who was a little dazed, and she was walking alone the other day in 100-degree temperatures. It was over 100 degrees, and he was just riding his bike, and he stayed with her until first responders arrived. So he was honored by the town of Gilbert because of this, and my goodness, an award well received from that. And so this is what he had to say about the whole situation.
It was 108 outside. I was sweating. I was about to go home because it was so hot. She was leaning against the fence, like walking and stumbling. So I noticed she needed help. Brought her to the shade. I called her son because she remembered her number. And then he came, he called the fire department, and she got checked out, and then, yeah.
So Royal, he is a king for this. Well done. Just 14 years old, too. He knew exactly what to do. And that's why the Gilbert City Council, they honored him at one of their meetings. He received the Citizen Hero Award and also a key to the town. How amazing is that? And not only that, he's also getting national recognition from this, too, being in People magazine for his heroics there. All right, now we are also moving on because we have lots of sports to talk about because football season is kicking up. And we got the ASU Sun Devils. They are officially at Camp T. That's Camp Tontozona. The tradition lives on with the maroon and white scrimmage happening this Saturday. Now the Sun Devils, they were 8-5 last year, 6-3 in Big 12 play, and they are hoping to improve on that and become Big 12 champs again, like they were just 2 seasons ago, and hopefully make it back to the college football playoff. So we actually caught up with head coach Kenny Dillingham. It's his 4th season at the helm, and this is what he had to say being at Camp T.
Yeah, I love Camp T. I mean, it's something that they can never forget. Like, it's something that you'll remember the rest of your life. It's something, you know, traditions are kind of dying a little bit in college sports in terms of stuff like that, right? Hard traditions, like things that are challenging, old school things are kind of dying. And for us to still have an old school kind of environment that we get to go to and just kind of bond together is special.
Absolutely special, and they said the weather is absolutely perfect while they were there. Obviously, they were Big 12 champions back in 2024, hoping to get back to that. The Sun Devils, they remained the Big 12 title hunt last year, if you remember that, and that was in November before Sam Levitt, who's now a quarterback at LSU. He got hurt, and so he didn't play the rest of the season. That's when things, they were interesting, but unfortunately they did take a downhill. So Sun Devils aren't poised to have that great of a season this year, according to the experts, but that's what they said 2 years ago when we went to the college football playoff. So that is awesome. Now ASU remains positioned to be a strong competitor at least, but there are a lot of really good Big 12 teams that are in the conference, and the season opens September 5th. That's at home at Mountain America Stadium, and that's going to be against Morgan State. Now, we also have to talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks because they are trying to make a playoff push right now, and they beat the Colorado Rockies 2 nights ago. However, unfortunately, they dropped the ball literally against the Rockies last night. So here's what happened. Look at Vargas. He is so happy just to be playing baseball. And you know, things actually started off really well for the Diamondbacks because Corbin Carroll, or as we should call him after this hit, Corbin Barrels, solo home run in the first inning. And he was not alone because Ketel Marte actually hit a solo home run right after him, but a little bit later on in the game. This is in the 6th inning. Ooh. I wonder what he said there. Obviously, the pitching kind of gave up that 2-run shot, and then they ended it right here in the bottom of the 9th inning. It was one of those rare games. We haven't seen the Diamondbacks kind of crumble like that with starting off so hot in the first inning. Unfortunately, they lose 3-2, and now their overall record is 64-57. So things are interesting because there is a 3-way tie for second place in the National League wildcard race. They're tied with the San Diego Padres, we know them very well, and also the Philadelphia Phillies. And when it comes to how many games they fell behind to the Dodgers now, who's first place in the division, they're 8.5 games behind, and they still sit at the top of the division, even though the Diamondbacks, they just won the series against them recently. So they're going to have another chance. They can take the series against the Rockies today. They play at 12:40, so that is going to be a midday game at Chase Field. So we are definitely going to be having coverage on that. But the road to the playoffs, it is a very tight race, so hopefully they can continue to win. Last night was definitely a tough one, and we also have the Atlanta Braves coming up after this. That's a series, and then the Boston Red Sox, who have been red hot as well. Unfortunately, the Dodgers won last night, so that's never a good thing if you're an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. And then lastly, we got to talk about the Arizona Cardinals because they have their first preseason game tomorrow. That's going to be against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's going to be at 5 p.m. So this is going to be another great test for rookie quarterback Carson Beck, who was drafted in the 3rd round. Who knows what exactly is going to be happening there, because who's fantastic, and he helped the Cardinals put up 30 points in a Hall of Fame game, which normally is a terrible game, but he actually played fantastic. Also, we might see Jeremiah Love a little bit in this game because head coach LaFleur, he said that the starters were actually going to play at least 1 or 2 drives. So we actually will get a chance to see how the Cardinals are shaping up this year, and let's just be honest, everybody's already counted them out and thinking that they are going to have the #1 pick in next year's NFL draft because they believe that the Cardinals are going to be the worst team. But who knows? We got some hope after how good Carson Beck was just last week. So we have ASU football coming up. We got the Diamondbacks in the playoff hunt, and also Cardinals preseason football. That is starting up real soon. Once again, really quick, with our desk check, we're just going to recap real quick. There was that 39-year-old man who drowned in Peoria a little bit earlier this morning, which was terrible. There was Julie's Salazar, the 19-year-old U of A student, who was killed in her Tucson apartment by her ex-boyfriend. And then also, we have a lot of weather coverage that we are going to be bringing you a little bit later today on all of our shows on both TV and streaming and online. So definitely make sure you tune into all of that, because we have a lot of weather, and monsoon is here and it is strong. So make sure you tune into all